show you where we are today. Here we go. Nice sunset, I think it is. There's some windmills you can see up in the corner, right dead centre actually. And I have no idea where this music's from. We're doing 40 kilometres an hour at the moment. It's hard to see with that JB logo right there. But we're going downhill, negative 2% incline. And we're out. It's Friday here in Melbourne. And it's an interesting time to be alive, I'll tell you that. I woke up this morning and with the cases, morning Mr. Scott, with the cases that were revealed yesterday here in Melbourne have risen significantly to 723. And Sydney's finding a lot more cases, Queensland finding cases. There's been some isolated cases in South Australia. This thing just won't die. So it's going to be interesting to see what the cases are like today. Hopefully not up at the 700s, hopefully a bit lower than that. All in aged care centre mostly. So it's just interesting. You're not quite sure what's going to happen or what your day's going to be like every day. Who's going to need help? It's just incredible. You've got to somehow remain positive, and having a sunset like this, being able to ride along the virtual road, it's pretty cool. Hip hoop! Good morning, Emma. How are we today up in Queensland where you don't have to wear a mask everywhere? I went for a haircut, as you can see yesterday. I'll zoom in on me just a bit. So there you go, there's my haircut. Haven't got any gel or wax or anything in there yet. But even that was an interesting experience yesterday. I had to wear a face mask while they were cutting my hair. So what they do is where the ropes or string go around your ears to hold the face mask, they do that bit first, like everything. They like shape it, style it, all that kind of stuff for the first 5 minutes. Then you put your mask back on. And then obviously when they're cutting your hair, all the hair goes onto the mask, and once you finish, you got to shake the mask off, and crazy. Going up a 5% incline here. Emma, my friend is out of work for 2 weeks because she was in contact with one of the kids from the school that was one of the COVID girls Queensland girls went to. Those Queensland girls, I'll tell you a story about that. We are all good. First live performance shows are back tonight. Fantastic. I bet Danny's happy, you're happy. That's good. Some normality up in Queensland, which is awesome. Whew. Now the story about those two girls, for those Scotty and Emma that are watching, but those that are watching afterwards, there was 3 girls that came down from Queensland to Melbourne on a shopping theft spree, a robbery spree. And apparently what they did was they came down and stole luxury bags from Melbourne stores or shops or warehouses or something like that. Anyway, during the process, they contracted COVID. And whether they were aware or not aware, they stupidly, against all current legal requirements, got a flight to Sydney, and then they got a flight to Queensland, which apparently, because there's not that many flights are very expensive now, cost them like $4,000 or $5,000 for the 3 of them to get up to Queensland. And then I saw a map this morning when I was going through my news feed, and they went to so many places in 3 days. Shopping centres and nail salons, restaurants, spreading that horrible virus. And they're in a lot of trouble. They've been charged, they've been held, and apparently they're a part of some kind of theft syndicate, telling so they were told to destroy their phones, destroying the evidence of calls, all that crap. Now I know Emma, Danny was asking a couple of days ago if I've actually lost weight by doing all this exercise, and physically I feel like I have. There's still a little bit of chunky monkey that you can see just there, but I started this at 85.5 kilos and I'm down to 81. So 4.5 kilos in 2 weeks isn't too bad. It's a good sign, it feels good. My legs feel so much stronger. And I've even noticed, like I was saying last time, hey Danny, playing with the kids on the evenings and in the mornings, lifting them up, and like for instance, like 2 weeks ago, if I picked them up and pretended to do roller coasters, we like and move them around and everything, I was puffed out by the end of it. But I'm doing it like 2 or 3 times now, and not feeling puffed and running around playing hide and seek. And I mean, the little moments in life that used to be annoying, still great to be able to play with kids. I can play with them more and not be so puffed out. So yeah, really happy with that. I need to weigh myself today and see where I'm at now. Go and do it, Danny. If you're at home, go do it and let me know how much you've lost, because I bet you have. My, I guess, sin is that at night, once you've gone through, like yesterday was a pretty crazy day at work. We had some front end website issues that are quite concerning, so you worry about that. But you come home and you sit in front of the telly once the kids are down, the house is clean, and you pour a little glass of wine and you realize that you've had maybe 2, sometimes 3, and you're like, whoa, I'm feeling a bit dizzy here, and obviously that's not good for the weight. I'm on the bike. Good, Danny, good boy. Yeah, you start with that, and then you're like, what goes good with red wine? Cheese and biscuits. So you get out the cheese and biscuits. And like, give it a month ago, I'd probably smash out a whole packet of Savoys. But now, the wife has taught me about portion control. So instead of bringing the whole packet over, I'll get like 3 bits of cheese, 3 slices of cheese, fold them in half, that's 6, and then get 6 biscuits. And they're the Vita-Wheat ones that I'm having too, so they're not as bad for you as the Savoys. But it all adds up, and I think for what everyone's going through here in Melbourne, you just need a little bit of happiness in food. And if that's all it is, I don't think that's too bad. I'm trying to figure out where we are. Windmills, sunset. What about these street signs? Not sure. Last day of July. Yeah, you came up with that, and you're not doing it this year, and I can't wait to hear Danny's new songs. I think he's got an album coming out. Great willpower. Well, it's just, I think the biggest thing with losing weight, let's make it really simple, is sticking to a routine and not letting your past desires get in the way. And that's the thing, like, we'd have an ice cream every night, might have a cheeky drink, might have a bit of cheese. But because I'm getting up and I'm doing this, and this is my half an hour where I've got no distractions, I haven't checked my emails, I haven't spoken to the team, the kids are good, they're eating their breakfast. You just need a bit of time, and this is my time, and I've decided to dedicate it to getting fitter, getting my legs better. And then how's this? During the day yesterday, every hour, I did a plank for a minute. So that's what I'm doing first. Once I feel like I can go another 2 minutes, I'll do another 2 minutes and just slowly increase. I don't want to go out and bang, bang, bang and hurt myself or get a sore back. Or I think that's the thing that I've done in the past, is I've come up with all these weight routines that were not scalable, suitable. I was just hitting it hard and it wasn't the right way to do it. You can't wait to hear your own songs too. Danny, how many songs have you got under the bag that you're confident that you're going to release? I'd love to know that. It looks like Germany. Let's see, Emma. Well, I think if I go to this screen, you can see there HOHE, which I think is incline. Or it could be map, or it could be scale, or it could be I don't know, if someone's got Google, put that into Google Translate. 0, Danny! Danny Black. A whole month. At least you've been exercising, you've been doing some goals there. This feels weird, like we've got definitely Scott, Danny and Emma, and I speak to you guys all day, every day anyway. I like it. And hopefully when Scott gets his bike next Tuesday or Wednesday, once he's built it, it'll be good. I have worked on like 5 or 6 songs but don't have them finished. That's okay, as long as you're doing something. For instance, I've got a new video coming out for the business. I've been working on that. I've done some storyboarding. I put some of the elements together, and I've got the narration already done. I've got a professional narrator who actually does all the voiceovers for Nissan, and what was the other one? Oh, Yamaha. Does all that stuff, so it's going to sound great. It's got this deep, confident, Aussie kind of voice, and it's all about how to remain relevant in situations like this in business where you need to adapt to a forever changing client requirement. So it sounds a bit nerdy, a bit techy, but I'm trying to make it seem really approachable for anyone that 122 beats. For anyone that feels like they need to get a website done or an app or get some logos or a brand refresh, an integration, a new system, we do all that stuff. So yeah. Danny, that's the big thing, big goals. The biggest is the fitness goals, and I've been keeping that up. Good. Me too. And I think if I didn't do this, where I've got you to chat with and to motivate, I probably would have given up already too. But this is, I think, the end of the 3rd week, or the start of the 3rd week, that I've been doing this, and feel good, feel confident. I've started going back and having a look in my closet at some of the shirts that I used to wear before they became a bit too tight. You probably know, some of the guys will probably know too, that when you've got a shirt on, sometimes if you've got a little bit fatter, you'll be able to see through the buttons. Like it'll open up and you'll be able to see skin, like if you stretch to get a book off the shelf or something. And I'm like, no. So I'm looking forward to the day that doesn't happen. Morning, Mystery Exchange. I wondered who that 3rd person was. Hope you're doing well this morning. What's happening in your neck of the woods? All right, time to increase the intensity a little bit. There it is, feel the pain. Whew. So good. I'm glad to hear, Danny, you're probably halfway through 6 songs at the moment, and whether or not you've got a goal of how many you want to get to. And that's the thing, like, you don't want to just write to fill up an album. You want to, I guess, create songs that are meaningful, that you want to release, that you're just not doing because you have to fill a quota. Do what you want. Things have changed so much in the music industry. We're working on an app at the moment in the music industry, and it's funny, like the music industry's changed. People don't buy music anymore. They're all subscription based. You know, you got your Spotify, mostly Apple Music, those kind of things, the subscription services, SoundCloud, which some people give away for free as well, just to try and get their name and their brand out there. But there has been a realization that music is what people love, but they're not willing to pay for it anymore. But they're more than willing to pay for an experience. And that's where this app that we're building with a team of people, which is due out in November now, we've got a rough ballpark of when they want to release it, is going to, I think, really disrupt stuff. It's going to be about creating music, but maybe not typically the kind of music that you're used to, you know, between 3 and 5 minutes a song, super produced. I think people just want raw music, raw emotion, raw feelings and collaborations and things like that. Make it easier for people to do that. Especially, it's not the big players that we're just talking about either, it's the up and coming. It's the already established, like Danny, that I think this kind of platform will easily integrate into your daily lives. And the biggest thing for artists is it'll make you money, make you lots of money, and easily. You won't have to create songs individually, or it'll be good. You'll get a lot of feedback from your fans as well as potential fans. Danny, a new album is great, but at the same time, having this time off, you realise there are more important things. Absolutely. Not like there are heaps of people waiting for new music. The music's there. Music's not going to go away. Music's interesting. Like, whoa, big truck. I find I always seem to go back with my boy just before he goes to sleep. We put a bit of music, like video clips, on the telly, and we're listening and watching like One More Time by Daft Punk, Scream and Shout by will.i.am, Bye 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 by NSYNC. Just all these really cool classics. They seem a bit dorky now, but they were huge classics. Well, not huge classics, they were just massive music clips and videos and music back then, that they're kind of making a comeback. The new live app, Danny, won't have a live streaming, but you'll be able to link to your live streaming, which will be cool too. It's on the cards for a future release. Whew, yeah, definitely Germany. I just saw some signs and some words that I recognised. So we're in Germany. Nice. 4 people are watching. Good. It seems to increase just before we head off, so we've still got about 10 minutes to go. Normally gets up to about the 7 mark or so once people maybe wake up or get used to it, but yeah. So the topic, new vaccine, and 723 cases reported here in Melbourne yesterday. I've got some people, some journos that we find out about 10 o'clock before the actual numbers get released at 11 o'clock. And, it's gone through like the family SMS group feed, and it's gone through the friendship feeds and stuff, that what they're going to report. Work out with the CEO. That's what this is. Kind of. Just giving you a bit of business ideas and I guess insight. Anyway, I saw on the news this morning that a hospital in South Australia has developed a vaccine that's proving to work, and it's just passed the first 500 human trials, and it's got the antibodies to fight the COVID, and it's called COVID-19 or something like that, this vaccine. So the next point, I think within a month, they're going to have it trialled on 5,000 people, put them in front of the COVID virus and see if it bounces straight off them. And the good thing is they've already started to ask the Victorian government whether or not they want some of these tests to be on these elderly that are really suffering at the moment with COVID, to see if they want to be part of the trial. So it's coming. Hopefully it comes sooner than later and helps keep some people alive that are in their 70s, 80s, 90s. I think yesterday the 700 plus people that have got cases now were above 70 years old, and mostly in aged care centres. And some of the reasons why these aged care centres have increased in their numbers of cases is not because of the elderly, it's because the nurses and the doctors that go in and try and help are actually crossing between different aged care centres, and if that nurse has got it and they're potentially touching them or breathing on them or whatever, it just means it's circulating around all the aged care centres. And I found out from our Urbex Marines Facebook group yesterday that there's 2 already aged care centres that have shut down and they're abandoned, and we just can't go and explore them because we're not allowed out, but one day. But it just shows as well, the aged care centres are really struggling. You try keeping everybody happy, healthy, motivated to stay alive, and I'm sure it's a horrible scene where you've got all these poor old people hurting and crying and in pain and coughing and passing away, and the amount of stretchers going into these places would be horrible. But hopefully this vaccine that's being developed, it's one of many that are being developed around the world. And I've never understood too, like, whether or not in a situation like this where it's a worldwide issue, whether or not all these people who are developing vaccines actually share their research, or do they keep it to themselves? Because ultimately, if they do develop a vaccine, all the research and all the tests and everything obviously costs money for these developers. They obviously want to get a return on it, but it comes a point where is it about money, or where is it about humanity? I'm not sure. I think, for instance, if it's a group of 10 researchers, then they could equally share the profits from the vaccine, make sure that vaccine too is not going to be so expensive that only the people who have got jobs can afford it. It's a tough situation. It's so tough, because you can either be greedy and make shit, I almost swore, make a heap of money off it, or are you going to do the right thing? And maybe it'll be about your brand reputation as being the one that saved people from COVID with the vaccine. Yeah, Danny, always about the money to the farmers. I know a whole bunch of pharmaceutical companies too. I'll give you some insight. When I first started my business, my first client was my dad, and it was for a natural pharmaceutical company that would provide natural medicines rather than your prescription drugs, to try and help with ear infections and sore eyes and headaches and things like that. And they did really well. And back then, when there wasn't too many people making really good websites, this is back 2001, 2002, I became quite popular in the pharmaceutical industry world at developing websites for them, and I did that for years. I'd be working part-time at the cinema, and then at night time I'd be working on these websites for these big pharmaceutical companies. I got over it too, because pharmaceutical content and what they want, it's pretty stale, and at the same time you have to put all these warnings, cautions, precautions, side effects, like all this stuff in, and you got to make sure it's 100% accurate. And over 3 or 4 years you kind of get over doing that kind of stuff. So I'll tell you something pretty cool if I've got time. Yep. Always about the money. This one is a guaranteed seller. The government countries will pay. They will pay. But whether or not they're going to pay for everybody to get the vaccine is going to be an interesting thing. It might be like $5 or $10 per person. Government might chip in the other 50%, hopefully. But, so I was doing all this pharmaceutical work, websites and branding, and it was just me running this business. And I'm like, what am I going to do? I want to get away from this pharmaceutical stuff, but I don't want to alienate myself either, because it's really good income. It's coming through. I was buying subwoofers for my car and great presents for the girlfriends, and going on good holidays, like living it. I was spending the money. Why not? So I'm like, what do I want to do? What kind of websites or branding or businesses do I want to work with? So at the time, like I said, I was working for the cinemas. And at the cinemas, in Gold Class, which is the more premiere kind of experience when you go to the movies, you're in a recliner, you get served alcohol, like all this other stuff. So I noticed that there was this massive wine glass that people could put their business cards in, and at the end of every month, they grab all the business cards, draw one out, and that particular person would win a cinema experience for them and 20 friends as a Gold Class experience, which was quite a cool competition. Subs living the dream. 5 in. Who is in that we don't know? Anyway, so I decided I was working one night till about midnight, and then I had to be back at 10 o'clock in the morning. I'm like, there's no conflict of interest here. So what I did was I brought my laptop in, grabbed all the business cards, went down to the staff room, and because you didn't have phone cameras then, they were crap. It was like the Nokia 5110 back then. I went into Excel and I wrote out their email addresses, their physical addresses, their names, their business names. There would have been 100, something like that. It took me an hour and a bit. Put the cards back. Everyone's happy. No dramas. So I then went home, created a letter in Microsoft Word, did a mail merge, printed them all out, delivered them, sent them off, back then. I think it was like 40 cents an envelope and a stamp. And from 100, because they were local businesses, I think I explained in the letter, up and coming web developer, been working with these kind of clients in the pharmaceutical industry, looking at extending out, and here's some of the work, here's the links. I got like 10 responses, so 10% is pretty bloody good. Subwoofers, yes, subwoofers. 10-inch subwoofers, twins. I think it was a Sony Systems too back then. 55 watt. Anyway, so I got 10 responses. One was from a swimwear company based in Clayton. One was a record label. One was also an online store called Madspin. Their website has been taken off, but they still use the website. That lasted 15 years. And I know this music's probably pretty loud too. I might turn it down next time. 20 seconds to go. So, it's an interesting world. And I think, you really have to push yourself out there, especially when you start a new business. Even this, like we've got 3 or 4 or 5 viewers on this maximum. Now that I've got a decent amount of work, like what I did with my business, I can go and promote that on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and say, hey, if you just want to do your exercise and listen to a guy ranting and raving or talking about topics or whatever, come and watch, come and subscribe. That's the plan. And then hopefully some of the other boys will get on soon too. And girls. Alright, done. I've got some meetings. 9 o'clock, got to get to. Thanks very much for watching. Hope you exercise well. I'm still at 120 beats per minute, so I can tell my exercise and my health is actually having an impact on my body. Have a great weekend. We'll see you tomorrow anyway, and then Sunday off. You going live tomorrow? Yes, I will be here tomorrow. You're enjoying the mornings. Thanks, Mr. Exchange. Really appreciate it. And if you've got any topics, definitely put them in the comments for tomorrow. Alright, guys. Have a great day. See you soon. Bye.